X-Men. Get it!
Hey everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Battle of the Atom. This is your weekly X-Men podcast where we rank every story from A to Z.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Zach. And Adam.
Hey.
How are you doing this fine day?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited about this episode. I feel like it's been a while since we did a character-centric one.
Has it?
Or maybe not. I don't know. What was the most recent character-centered episode we did?
Literally the last actual episode we did, which was about Cable.
Oh, that's right. That didn't really feel like a Cable episode, though. So I don't know. This one, though, I don't think we've really spent a lot of time talking about Want You Cuckoo Cannonball. So I'm excited about this.
Okay. So I was going for the anti-slavery ballad, My Old Kentucky Home.
Oh, okay.
You went in a very different direction with this.
I can't. It's the 90s kid in me. I can't think about Cannonball without thinking about that song.
See, the problem is I was born in Lexington, so I have some sort of connection to Kentucky, regardless of the fact that I did not spend a ton of time there.
Did you have time to develop your accent or no?
I developed literally no Kentucky accent because I spent most of my formative years in Ohio and then after that in Indiana for a little bit. And they don't have accents in those places, I assume. Guys, if you think I have an accent, keep that to yourself.
Well, everybody has an accent, really. It's just, where we think we come from, right? But I'll tell you who does definitely have an accent is Mr. Guthrie here, who God knows how many siblings he has and goes on a bunch of really wild adventures in this episode.
He really does. It's funny because, I thought that this episode was going to be your number one Good Kentucky Boy podcast.
Sure.
But it's not just your number one Good Kentucky Boy podcast. This is your number one Good Kentucky Boy goes to space and has adventures podcast.
Yeah, I was going to say, all of these stories involve going into space.
We didn't plan them that way.
No.
We just said, what's some Cannonball stories we like?
Yeah, so this is the Cannonball in Space Hour, so welcome to that.
Cannonball in Space Hour is better, and I don't want to write your Good Kentucky Boy Goes to Space podcast in the feed. So that's our new title for this episode. Going to just scratch that out.
Love it.
Perfect.
Love it.
Thank you for making me type significantly fewer letters. And do you know else who I'm thanking, Adam?
Well, we're going to start with a Patreon request here. So who requested our first story, Zach?
The good fellow Sam Fryer went on over to patreon.com/XavierFiles, pitched in some money and said, guys, listen, there was a time once. It was called the 90s. The heroes were gone. Some say they had been reborn somewhere, but others weren't sure when they were going to return. And in that time, in this post-onslaught era, Cannonball fought Gladiator. And then there was another story going on with it in space that's less exciting. But Sam wanted us to talk about that story, so they threw a couple of dollars our way, and we want to say, Sam, thank you so very much.
Sam, thank you. I wonder if Sam likes Sam because his name is Sam. I'm curious. I'm just throwing it out there. I have always been a big Cannonball fan. And
I forgot Cannonball's name was Sam for a second. I'm going to be honest.
I didn't mean for that to be a curveball for you.
No, I know Samuel Zechariah Guthrie's name is actually not Zechariah. I'm pretty sure his middle name is Zachary, but spelled different than I would spell the full version of my name. Yeah, he spells it with an E like a friggin' punk. I've got a big bird ornament that my great grandma on my mother's my grandmother's side got me, and it says Zachary with an E, and I'm very appreciative of it. But ever since I could read, I said, that's friggin' wrong. That's not how it's at all. What are you doing?
That's not my name, Big Bird. What are you doing?
Anyway, we should get to Sam's request. It's Uncanny X-Men 341 through 344. It was written by professional comic book writer Scott Lobdell with pencils by Joe Mad. And does anyone else do pencils? Salvador LaRocca does some pencils on this.
Yeah, the last issue.
Melvin Ruby.
Well, I think it's also important to note that Tim Townsend does the inks on this, because I'm not always a huge Joe Mad fan, but when Tim is inking him, it's great. Like, he reins in some of Joe Mad's style a little bit. And, Tim is Chris Bachalo's longtime inker. And I think it really refines that style and does a really nice job with it. We're starting here with kind of an homage, really, to the X-Men at Rockefeller Center.
Celebrating Christmas.
Yeah, and it's Christmas. So what's happening here?
Well, the X-Men are a little weird. The Uncanny team right now is Beast, Bishop, Cannonball,
Yep,
Gambit, Rogue, and Joseph.
Oh, Joseph,
you know
our
about
favorite.
Joseph. Joseph's not Magneto.
But they think he might be. Gambit is convinced in this era that Joseph is Magneto. Doesn't trust him. There's a little bit of a love triangle going on here with Rogue.
A bit of a love triangle, because Joseph creates something's the Xanax, something I'm pretty sure it was referenced in Onslaught, so it's not that far of a stretch to reference it in this story. Something, your powers don't work, so we can kiss on top of the World Trade Center.
Right. Yeah. Gives her a nice gentlemanly smooch on the forehead.
Yeah. I don't like Joseph, and I don't like the Joseph and Rogue relationship, mostly because I don't like Joseph and he's so boring, and it's such a blatant attempt to say, wow, dang, people really did like Age of Apocalypse, didn't they?
I don't really hate it here. Generally, I do not like Joseph. I'm not a Magneto Rogue shipper either, so there's no basis for it for me. But that really is not the focus of this issue. The focus of this issue is that Cannonball gets to fight Gladiator at FAO Schwartz.
And it's dope.
It is. It's pretty great.
How do you feel about Gladiator? I don't think we've talked much about Gladiator on our 80 episodes of this podcast that we've done so far.
I mean, the Imperial Guard in general are pretty fun. They're just kind of like crazy creations. They were created as a parody of somebody, right?
Yeah, the Legion of Superheroes.
Right. So
Gladiator's supposed to be Superboy.
Yeah, and it's got, a great mohawk, some purple skin.
A very good mohawk.
Yeah.
And I love that his power is his self-confidence. It's like, I'm unstoppable as long as I think I am, which is a very 5-year-old power.
Yeah, this is one of the more fun fight scenes that we've had a chance to talk about, because it lasts for multiple pages. Cannonball is just kind of winging it as he goes. He doesn't know if he can beat Gladiator, and Gladiator is really sure that he can beat Sam, and that's not how it shakes out.
Nope. Sam ends up being nigh invulnerable when he's blasting. Just enough to shake Gladiator's confidence.
Yeah, there's this great moment where Gladiator punches him with his quote-unquote most powerful blow, which does raise the question, how do you measure something like that? And
you measure it in numbers, and that blow was easily over 9,000, Adam.
On a scale of
Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, see, I'm not familiar with that.
I've never watched any Dragon Ball Z. I just know that people yelling "it's over 9,000" when they're talking about power level is a thing on the internet. So I assumed some of our listeners would pick up that reference and think we have more credibility in the nerd spheres than we do, regardless of the fact that multiple times we've talked about how little I know about manga.
Yeah, I think we've been pretty upfront about our limitations in the anime manga world. But it is great to see Cannonball like coming out of his blast field saying, "So tell me, partner, was that your best shot?" I just there's something so much fun about that.
I love
Uh,
Sam. He's such a good boy. He's such a good boy.
well, and it's classic Gladiator because, of course, he's beating the heck out of Sam, and Sam's beating the heck out of him. But really, he's just there to get their attention so he can send the rest of the team into space to fight the Phalanx.
Yeah, the team and
Um,
Trish Tilby, who does nothing, right? Like she's there, but what'd she do for the
well,
next 3 issues?
she wears a very sexy costume.
This is true. This
Yep.
is true.
I
And
mean,
she's not the only one who gets some romance in the stars because Bishop finds a colony that Gladiator told the X-Men to look for.
mhm.
And who should be on the colony but Deathbird,
Yes,
who starts to flirt with Bishop?
there does seem to be a little bit of tension there. There's
Chris
also,
Claremont ships them, which is wild.
I mean, hey, why not? I can kind of see it.
Because it's
Um,
Deathbird. Who cares about Deathbird?
maybe Bishop does.
Her name is Callie C.
And then we get some nice Rogue and Gambit moments here too, because
We get Rogue admitting that she loves Gambit more than she loves Joseph, which is nice.
yeah,
Especially considering in like less than 10 issues, what's gonna go down.
yeah. We get the trial of Gambit right after this, right?
Yeah, real soon after this.
Yeah. So they fight the Phalanx. The Phalanx are not like we saw in Phalanx Covenant. They kind of look like I'm trying to think of what's a good comparison here for these guys. They're all they're tall, black with like blade spiky arms, but they don't
Yeah,
look anything like the Phalanx we've seen before.
no, I don't get it. Because the Phalanx have taken over Chandler, the Shi'ar homeworld, and they are going to break all the Shi'ar eggs, more or less.
Sure.
And the X-Men have to stop them. And it's really boring and kind of just a non-resolution because these don't even feel like the Phalanx from the Phalanx Covenant. These just feel like generic aliens. Like I don't know what this story is trying to say or what this story is trying to do. It's just a punch 'em up. That first issue for at Christmas is fun though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a problem with this. In fact, I kind of like it. I think
Ooh.
that the Joe Mad stuff, it has a cartoony, fun quality to it. You know, it's Christmas. We're gonna go to space. We're gonna fight these monsters. There's gonna be some romantic tension that's gonna get worked out. I think where it falls apart is in the last issue of the arc, which is 344. We get, instead of Joe Mad, we get this guy Melvin Ruby
Yep.
jumping in, and he's doing his very best Jim Lee impression. It's not great. You know, it takes the story from a tone that is really kind of fun and silly almost, you know, because Joe Mad has that really like kind of fun, cartoony quality to his artwork, and brings it to another place that just does not work with this particular story, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't work. I don't know. This story I feel nothing about.
Yeah,
I have no
kind of
connection
just,
to it. I completely have forgotten already that I read it last week. Like it's that little of a impact to me, except for that first issue, which is really good.
I think you probably have a better impression of it if the last issue was not so anticlimactic. Like, I'm not really sure the way this is illustrated, the way it's written, like how they resolved the issue, to be honest.
No,
You know?
okay, thank you. I thought I was just falling asleep. No, I don't know
No.
what happened.
Yeah,
It's just like, oh, and now it's over.
right. Like Bishop talks about Beast having infected the Phalanx with some sort of program or virus or something, but how we got to that point, and then we have Joseph having Holocaust flashbacks. You know, the tone of this last issue is just really off from sort of like the fun, almost like, you know, swashbuckling space adventure feel of the first couple issues. It just doesn't sync up. So if you're going to check this out, I think, you know, do the first 3 issues. I think they're enjoyable, but you're not going to get much of a resolution out of the next one. So you might as well skip to 345 when you get Maggot.
You do get Maggot next.
which we're not reviewing today.
No, we have not talked about Maggot at all on this podcast. And that day's going to come. And boy, I'm not sure we can fill 3 stories, but we're going to try.
So, all right, where does this go on the list? Because
we have 189 stories on this list.
We sure
going
do.
from Days of Future Past and Gifted to Phoenix Legacy of Fire and Under the Draco. Right in that middle spot, actually right around the middle spot, we have a couple similar stories. We've got Uncanny X-Men 273 to 277, Savage Land and Shi'ar stuff, which has Rogue and Magneto flirtiness, and it has weird Shi'ar stuff. And we also have at 97 Uncanny X-Men 'Twas the Night, which I like better than this.
I like both of those stories better than this one.
Yeah.
I think this has some charm to it and it's kind of fun, but it's more of an homage to past better stories than it is, a standalone, something that you might want to consider a classic. I will say though, I enjoyed reading it, with the exception of that last issue. I was having a lot of fun with it. I like the art and, I kind of like, hey, let's beam up to space and just punch up some aliens. Like that was fun.
I've got a good comparison for you.
All right, here we go.
Do you like it better or worse than Phalanx Covenant Final Sanction, where Cable and his parents and Wolverine climb a mountain?
I think I like this better. I like the art of this better. I think 3 out of the 4 issues are really fun. There's some good Rogue and Gambit stuff in here. So I think I might hold off on putting it above 127, which is Kitty and Caliban's Wedding in the Sewer. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I wasn't going to go any higher than that. I think I like it better than Final Sanction, but I don't have a good argument. I think you probably have a bit more tolerance for Joe Mad's art than I do.
Okay.
Like he's just, as much as I love Age of Apocalypse, Joe Mad's just not my guy. But I think this being 128 is a good spot.
All right, let's put it there. With Joe Mad's art, I think it depends on who's inking him, and I think where he's at as an artist in this era is pretty darn good. If you look at some of his earlier stuff, it doesn't seem as refined, but it's nice here. So this is our new 128.
Yep, this is our new 128. Uncanny X-Men 341 to 344. Cannonball fights Gladiator, and then some space stuff.
I'm putting that on my list. I like that.
Perfect.
So where are we going next? Because we have other space adventures today.
And Cannonball adventures.
Yes. Cannonball space adventures.
Yeah, so on our Cannonball run here, we are going to next stop at New Mutants Annual #1, Steal This Planet, a Rock Fable.
I liked your Cannonball Run reference in there. That was nice.
Thank you. I've also never seen Cannonball Run. Most of my pop culture references are puns based on osmosis. In case anyone's curious. But this is the first New Mutants Annual from 1984, written by Chris Claremont, with pencils by Bob McLeod, and a cover that we're going to start by talking about the cover. A cover by Bill Sienkiewicz.
Not just any cover. This is quite the cover.
I don't know if it's Bill Sienkiewicz's best cover of all time, but it's one of the first ones I think about.
It is pretty freaking amazing because it is just straight up as heavy metal as you can get, with Lila and her guitar like yelling into space, and where you would usually have a scantily clad lady clutching the male lead's leg, you have Sam kind of rocking out in a tank top and some punk spikes as Earth blows up in the background. I mean, it's pretty awesome. Way to go, Bill.
It looks like an unused Scorpions album cover in a very good way. And I am all about that.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot. I mean, Sienkiewicz did a lot of the Dazzler covers, and he was kind of playing with this language on those pieces as well. But this is just, you and I were saying before we came on, like, I would love a poster of this. I don't think they made any, but I would love a giant poster of just this artwork.
Sync. If you're listening to this podcast, 1, please DM us. We will have you on this show in a heartbeat. 2, get like 30 of these printed for your next show. I promise you will sell out. Like, get these poster, like, concert poster size. Not full poster, just like a concert poster, Bill. Bill, listen to me, Bill. Concert poster of these. Sell them for $20 a pop. People will not even question buying one of these.
No, not at all. I mean, even if it was just like a small print, I would love to have it because it's pretty rad.
This is rad. This is rad.
Yeah, as is the story. I like this, and I like that Bob McLeod is back doing pencils and some of his own inks on this. Reminds me of the early days of New Mutants, where we're getting in here. And is this our first introduction to Lila Cheney? I think it is, right?
This is the first appearance of intergalactic rock superstar / thief Lila Cheney.
Nice.
Who she does 2 things in this issue. She has a concert and tries to steal a planet. Her motivations for stealing Earth are never that clear, and I love it. She's like, yeah, Earth sucks. And all the New Mutants sit there and say, she's not wrong.
Well, but she's also double crossed at some point. So this whole thing goes haywire, and they have to save the day. I think we're also forgetting the major other thing that Lila does in here, which is make out hard with one Sam Guthrie.
She does, and you know what? Good for Sam.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had questioned maybe the ethics of this particular makeout, given the potential age discrepancy between the two of them.
I've come down to the point that Lila's like 19. So.
Lila's got to be young, and Sam is the oldest, and we'll just. These are 2 consenting individuals who are into each other, right?
These are 2 teens just doing teen things, and I am fine with that. Sam does get to wear some weird outfits. Like, he goes through a phase. He changes for a girl real hard.
Yeah, he's doing his best, leather vest, spike belt, chains, leather pants action.
Some would say that he's hell-bent for leather, and... You know what? I think that's fair. And by the way, people, yes, that is an intentional Judas Priest reference, because as little as I know about anime, I know a heck of a lot about Judas Priest.
There's some interesting things here that Bob McLeod does very, very well. Like, just in terms of the way he characterizes each of the individual New Mutants, I think is done exceptionally well. He gives each one of them such personality. I will say, it does not seem like Bob McLeod has a very good handle on Warlock.
Nope. His Warlock is Warlock was Bill's. Warlock was Bill Sienkiewicz's. Bob McLeod's like, okay, I just drew some kids and a wolf, but you're making me whatever, Bill. You seem like a talented young kid.
Yeah, Warlock's face in a couple of these locations look like they're taken directly from the same sort of expression and repeated, because it doesn't seem like he really has a good handle on what to do with this character. So much so that I think Chris throws him a bone by letting Warlock turn into a spaceship right out of Alien,
which is very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the other thing that he struggles with is the more sci-fi elements of this. I don't think his design sense on that is as good as it could be. They just kind of look like generic Marvel had to fill in some Star Wars comics with some aliens. Like that 80s Marvel house sci-fi. And it's not bad, it's just it's not as imaginative as I'd want it to be. But his character work with the teens is wonderful.
Yeah, Bob excels at body language and expressions. I think he does a really good job here of selling the relationships between the characters, and the story is just kind of fun. This is a long one. I think it's like 40 pages. So when he's not doing his own inks, there's a slight difference in the artistic quality, but I think there's a consistency through here that makes this a really cool story. And Lila Cheney's great. I've always really liked this character. I love that there's just this teleporting thieving punk rocker, you know, floating around the planet. She's really great.
I think Lila's great. I think Lila's a little undeveloped. Like, after all these years, I don't really know what Lila wants to do. She just likes playing music, and that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, she suffers the fate of a lot of teleporters in, you know, the X-Men universe, which is she gets used as a taxi cab a lot of the time whenever she ends up. And you know, I do appreciate that. Like when she pops up in early X-Force, it's like, yeah, you know, I don't have time to deal with this. I'm gonna go back and do my own thing. But I would love to see somebody. We've seen Dazzler get her own, you know, series and one shots. It'd be fun to follow Lila around for a while, wouldn't it?
I think it would be very interesting. I'd like to see Lila pop up in some places. Lila should be on the Guardians of the Galaxy for no good reason.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah, I'd like that.
That would actually be dope. She would argue with me with Star-Lord about music because Star-Lord is just movie Star-Lord now, and we all need to accept that and move on.
That's just the way of the world, you know? It's just happened. So aside from the absolutely rockin' heavy metal cover, do you like this issue, Zach?
It's not my favorite New Mutants issue, honestly.
Mhm.
But I like it, and that cover goes a long way. And it's a fun concept of Lila trying to steal Earth, sell Earth, and then realize, dag, yo, these aliens from Bleep Blorp 7 do not want to buy this planet. They want to blow it up.
Right. So we'll save the day. I mean, I think this is definitely in keeping with, you know, the early issues of New Mutants, pre-Sienkiewicz, and I think it fits in pretty well. So, you know, if you like those, I think this is right in line with those. You'll enjoy this big time.
Well, I tell you what, I enjoyed it more than the Cannonball Punches Gladiator and other things issues.
Yeah, definitely. This is much more classic than that, and you know, introduces Lila. It's got the full original New Mutants lineup, including Warlock. So this is, I think, it's pretty cool.
How do you feel about it compared to number 100 on our list, Uncanny X-Men Volume 335, that issue where Gold Balls is famous for an issue?
That's a tough one. I think I might like this better, if only because it's a little more classic in terms of its lineup, its artist, the introduction of Lila Cheney, even though I do really like that Gold Balls issue.
Is it good? I don't think this is better than Generation X Underground Special at 89, though.
No, I wasn't going to go that high. I think we've got some other stories in between here that are maybe a little bit more memorable and hold up a little bit more.
How do you feel about it compared to Amazing Spider-Man 92, that time Spider-Man and Iceman teamed up?
I think it's better than that, but I'm not sure that it's better than like the Continuities issue, where that was very high concept, very cool issue, or that Storm IVX tie-in issue.
Yeah, that was my ceiling right there, was that IVX one. So let's make this 96.
Perfect. I think
New
that's a good
Mutants
place
Annual
for it.
number 1. Steal this planet.
Love it. And we've got one more Cannonball in Space adventure, right?
Yes. This is a story that's near and dear to my heart. I love it dearly. Just in concept, probably more than execution, but it is Avengers World 17. Technically, it's Before Time Runs Out, Part 1.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the story where Cannonball has a kid.
Aw.
So
well, we should provide some context, because all right, you mentioned that this is the lead up to the big crossover event of Secret Wars. So we're in sort of like the Hickman verse right now. And
yes.
If you were reading any of those, you may have remembered that a certain Cannonball had really like fallen in love and run away with a member of the Imperial Guard.
The first human member of the Imperial Guard, Izzy Kane, Smasher. Do you know how Izzy became Smasher? Do you know the story, Adam? Because it's great.
Yeah, can you remind me, though? Because it's been a while since I read that. I definitely remember it, but I'm forgetting right now.
Okay, so Izzy's is like an astronomer, like as a hobby. That's what she likes to do. I think she might have been going to school for it, but she grows up on a cattle farm.
Mm-hmm.
And one day,
Right.
Cassandra Nova decided to
Yes.
try and take over the Shi'ar empire, and Smasher came to Earth to ward them, and he died in front of some cows, and his glasses got left there, and eventually Izzy Kane found them.
Right, because like that's her cattle farm, right? Like she lives
Yes.
on. Yeah,
It's
I
such a
I
good,
knew I remembered that connection. It's such a great callback.
because that's a throwaway thing from Morrison. That's not even like the third best throwaway cow based thing in the Marvel universe, because the Scroll Kill Crew exists, but those are the Scroll superheroes that became Scroll superheroes because they ate the cows that Reed Richards turned some Skrulls into in Fantastic Four #2.
Oh my god, what a great continuity dive! And if you're going to get continuity dives, you know it's going to be something that Hickman might pick up, because the guy is clearly like interested in encyclopedic storytelling. The number of characters that were involved in his New Avengers run, it is just amazing. I mean, they might as well have given him the keys to the entire line.
I mean, they did. They did.
Yeah.
That's what they did, and then they canceled the whole line.
Yeah. So this is
Hickman didn't write this, though. We need to be very clear.
Yes. This is Frank Barbieri and
with Marco Cicchetto.
Yes.
And let me say, Marco Cicchetto deserves all the success that he's gotten, because his stuff is gorgeous.
He's great with facial expressions, body language. His camera angles are really interesting. I like the way he frames things. And this is a fun little story because Smasher is being called back up to the guard, and Cannonball is basically like, "Well, I'm gonna go after her."
After he talks to his mother.
Aww.
His mother says, "Sam, what are you doing? You like this girl. Go after this girl." So he goes to his best friends who have a spaceship. And he's like, "Hey, hey, Sunspot, hey, Magic. You guys know the Starjammers pretty well, right? Like, yeah, can you guys get me a spaceship?" So they get a spaceship.
And what else is great about this is when young Cyclops is hanging out with Corsair. So we get a little crossover between that. It's fun.
It's also definitely not during that, if you want to go by the actual timeline, but that's fine. Like, that doesn't actually make sense with how the Cyclops series ended and how Black Vortex happened, but we're going to ignore Black Vortex like everyone should.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Oh, we're going to have to talk about Black Vortex at some point, aren't we?
Maybe. I mean, Kid Cable kind of corrected all that with the Fire Wings, so
he did.
Anyway, so basically Cannonball has to prove himself, because if he's going to be a member of the Imperial Guard's significant other, then he's got to be a warrior too. And he gets an opportunity by beating up what he thinks is a spaceship and turns out to be kind of like a space squid. So, I mean, this story also does feature Corsair bragging about the power of love, which I absolutely love.
Corsair's very good. I'm mad that the Starjammers aren't the Guardians of the Galaxy, because they kind of should be.
That would be a lot of fun, wouldn't it? Or if they maybe had their own ongoing or something like that. I don't know.
I mean, they already mostly were the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, they were what the movie Guardians of the Galaxy are, just without 70s pop music and instead 70s mustaches.
Well, we also, I think it's an excellent point. We definitely should get more Starjammers, but this issue also features the birth of Smasher and Cannonball's kid, which is how the issue ends.
And it's very good. I like that they have a kid.
Yeah, should we talk about the fact that like this is kind of being ignored in current continuity?
You say that, and you say that as I have also said that. It was brought up in like December, so I'm going to give them that.
Okay.
But I also think it's very weird that Samuel Zachary Guthrie does not live with his child on their space planet.
Yeah.
Cable wouldn't, or not Cable. Cable wouldn't do that either, and Cable taught Cannonball, but also all of Cannonball's family taught Cannonball, hey, maybe friggin' be there for your family.
Sure.
Like,
it
they
doesn't
would do
really
that.
make sense in character. And I feel like, it's one of these things that gets ignored because of, hey, we want Cannonball on X-Force. So of course he can't be being dad in space, but it's a shame because, these two characters are fun together. I like the idea of Cannonball sort of being an intergalactic person, or maybe Smasher's on Earth, and that's what makes the story a little more compelling.
That's the easier thing to do. How many times has the Shi'ar Empire fallen? Just like have that happen off screen, or
Well, because
have Smasher just be allowed to be back on Earth thanks to Shi'ar Imperial Guard Rule XY295 whatever handwave.
Exactly. I mean, it did seem like she was allowed to be there before she was called back. So why couldn't she be there? I just
Heck, put Smasher on X-Force.
That'd be fun. That'd
Just
be fun.
do that.
Give her a cool costume redesign. She's a badass. Like that'd be fun, I think.
See, guys, these are workable solutions to this problem, and they aren't as bad as Cannonball isn't there for his kid. Also, I'm just realizing Cannonball and Smasher, who are both farm kids, both wear goggles all the time.
Aw, they're goggle buddies.
This is making a lot of sense now. This marriage works.
Yeah, that's their key attraction. They're like, I love those goggles. I love those goggles too. I think this is a fun story. I mean, I was a big fan of this era in general, and I liked this relationship as it came up in continuity in the Avengers arc. So where do you think this would rank?
I think this is better than number 90, Astonishing Tales Mojo World, which Hickman wrote with Cannonball.
That's a good comparison. And yeah, we've got a much, obviously, even though Hickman's not writing this, there's a much more mature Sam on display here, who gets to, fight for his love for his, they're married, right? Not at this point, but I don't know how that works with Shi'ar rules.
You know what? They're together.
They don't.
I don't think they're putting labels on it.
All right, so he fights for his partner, and he gets to be a dad, which I think suits him very, very well. So yes, I agree. Higher than 90. How far up are you willing to go, though?
I'm trying to look here. It's definitely not better than X Factor 27 Gifts, which is at 64. So that gives us.
I wasn't going to go that high.
No, but that gives us a good thing. It's probably not as good as that time that Captain America was watching Magneto fight Red Skull.
Yeah, it's not as good as Unis, the Untouchable. I don't think this is as good as Kitty versus the Demon and Christmas.
I think it's better. Here's what I think. I think it's better than number 80, The Last Will and Testament of Charles Xavier.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it above Fall of the Mutants, though.
That's fair.
Uncanny. So that's probably a good place for it. Is this our new 80?
This is our new number 80. It's Avengers World 17. Cannonball and Smasher have a baby.
Aw. I love those crazy kids, and I hope they make it.
I hope that their marriage does not get swept away in the shackles of continuity and the ever repeating status quo.
Yeah, there's such possibility for characters to have committed relationships and be interesting at the same time, and I don't see why it couldn't be here either. You know what I mean? There's no reason.
I don't know why we don't start a letter writing campaign to Ed Brisson saying, "Hey, put Smasher on X-Force." Guys, please don't harass Ed Brisson. I know I said that in like a serious tone, but I want to be very serious. Don't harass Ed Brisson or any of the creators of X-Men books.
Yeah, this might be a good opportunity to just note that of late the X-Twitter creators have really been taking a lot of lumps, and guys, like if you're seeing it out there, try and temper it. If it's you, just stop. And if you see it, like try and stop these folks from harassing these people. Cause they really do spend a great deal of time sharing their time and their efforts with the public, and it's a shame for them to have to, you know, be scuttled off the platforms. It just drives me nuts. So
Or
be
if
nice.
you want to,
Yeah, go ahead.
or if you want a very selfish reason for it, it's because the more they're on Twitter, the easier they are to access and get booked on this show. So if you want good guests, like don't make them mad at us
Yes,
for no reason.
yes. Wow, I think that was 3, Zach.
That was 3. We finished this. But first off, I think we have one last thank you, and that's again to Sam.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you so much for the suggestion. If you want to be just like Sam, you can go over to patreon.com/XavierFiles and you can pitch in money at the $2 a month level. You can have a whole episode handcrafted around a suggestion of your choice. We just got one 2 days ago that I texted Adam and I said, "This is dope. I'm so happy for this. I've been waiting." So that's very exciting.
Yeah.
And if you want to make our days or ruin it, because that's happened both ways, you can pitch at the $2 a month or higher level. Different levels of support above $2 a month get you different frequencies, some different rewards like that. If you don't really have an episode or you can't support it, we also have a $1 a month level that will allow you early access to what episodes we're going to be doing next, so you can read along with us in the Battle of the Atom Book Club. You also will get access to a monthly Q&A video live stream thing. We're testing out all of that, and by we I do mean me. I'm testing out all of that right after this episode is recorded. So by now you will have seen if that has been a success or a stunning failure. I'm excited. I think it could go either way.
I got faith in you, Zach. I think it's going to be great.
I'm going to hit the button on YouTube that says live stream, and we're going to see what happens.
It's going to be great.
I should probably tell people in general where they can find me online, right?
Please do.
We do that every episode. You can go to not battleoftheatom.com. We don't own that URL. Though possibly I should invest. We'll see. We'll see what we do with that Patreon money. But you can, more than that, go to XavierFiles.com. That's where I have all the latest and greatest in X-Men news and stories and some articles and all the episodes of Battle of the Atom. And you can see me try and tank my career and all of my relationships with Marvel's PR people, which is always fun.
Choices.
I'm also on Twitter at Xavier Files. Adam, where can people find you online?
Guys, you can always follow me on Twitter at Arthur Stacy. We got the last couple pages coming out of Bish and Jube's attack on the mansion. As we go in from February into March, I think we're going to be wrapping that story up at adamrec.tumblr.com. You can get copies of the Rob Liefeld tribute zine over at Big Cartel, adamrec.bigcartel.com. And if you want daily art in your inbox, just go to, wow, this is a lot of web addresses. I'm so sorry. Patreon.com/adamrec. And Zach, I think that was a pretty solid episode.
That was a solid episode. That's an episode, right?
Yeah. What are we doing next time? We've got team ups.
Yeah, next time we got some Wolverine team ups. And one of these issues may be available in 3D, but you'll never know. Until then, this has been Battle of the Atom. We hope you survived the experience.
Get it!